Good morning guys, it's Rachelle from Online Furniture in beautiful, still lockdown, Sydney. Today I'm working on this little bedside. It's a single bedside. Excuse the mess. Let's have a look. So it's just a single little bedside. I'm actually not sure what is underneath this. Cute little butterfly drawer pulls. I won't use them on this piece, I doubt, but I will keep them. So this piece was donated to me by a lovely neighbour for Rise Up with the single bed to match, which is so good. The drawers actually looks like it's probably solid wood. Looking at these drawers, that's good. So I may be able to sand this back. We'll see. I'll start sanding it and see how I go. So I'm using a 120 grit sandpaper. I get these from Sleek Australia. I need to get a new pad for this though, because there's no stickiness there. So I put that on and then it just stays on by holding it. I'm actually looking to upgrade my sander, so I'll keep you informed on that. So it turned out that it was quite thick paint on the top here. It was almost flaking off at some point. So there was the option here for me to use a stripper. But to be honest, it's just one single bedside. It didn't take long to sand it off. If it was a bigger piece, I probably would have done. But one single bedside, no. I'll just put a couple more minutes into sanding and we're good to go. Save on the mess. Just look at this girl between my legs, bless her heart. She's such a cutie pie. You'd think she'd be scared of the noise, but when she's scared, that's what she does. So I'm using Dixie Belle Chalk Mineral in the colour Sandbar, and I'll be applying with my Sleek brushes 38mm. At the moment, the Sleek brushes are only available in Australia, but they're actually looking to get either a distributor or stockists over in primarily I think the US, but other countries too, I'm sure. If it's something that you're interested in or you know that someone is, you can either contact Sleek Brushes Australia directly or come to me and I can point you in their direction. The coverage on this paint is really lovely. It's taken, this is the first coat, but I think it'll probably only be 2 coats. And what I do on the first coat, I don't use my Mr. bottle. On the second coat I do. That's generally how I do it with chalk paint. The first coat always goes on a lot smoother because it's going on over top of a finish, but the second coat is going over top of a chalk paint, so it's more matte. So to smooth that out, I'll use a Mr. bottle. They're just fine Mr. bottles with water in, and that just helps you give a really brush-free finish, brush-stroke-free finish. Another thing that helps with getting rid of any brush strokes is to sand between coats of chalk paint. Now, I honestly don't find the need to do this very often with Dixie Belle because it does self-level well, but that is an option. Just a really high grit sandpaper in between coats, wipe off the dust, and then go in with the second coat. So that's 2 coats done now, and now I'm ready to seal it. And to seal, I'm using Purico beeswax polish in the scent Lemon Myrtle. It's a beautiful, beautiful wax. This is probably my favourite wax. It doesn't melt. It's just really easy to apply. It's a really hardy wax. I really love this. So this is an Australian brand. As far as I'm aware, it's not available overseas at this point. Hopefully that will change in the future. The brush that I'm using is a Paint Pixie wax brush. Again, I really like this. This sort of sits in the palm of your hand, so I find this easy to use. There's lots of different options for applying wax. This is my preferred option. You can also use a cloth and wipe it on. I just find with the girls, with my dogs, if I'm using a cloth, then the dog hairs just get in there a lot easier. So what I'll do with this, I'll be wiping it on or rubbing it on, and then I'll come back probably in about an hour and just buff off the excess. So basically what will happen is the wax will harden and you then take off any excess. So you buff it until you get a nice satiny smooth finish. You don't want to leave any sticky residue at all on when you're sealing with wax, because that will just attract dust. Definitely don't want that going on, because that'll just ruin your finish. So a nice silky smooth finish and you're good. I love sealing with wax. I really enjoy it. I don't use it on tabletops or, you know, on the tops. I always seal with a hardy top coat, but for the body I love sealing chalk paint with wax. It's my go-to. The smell of this wax as well is just amazing. So it's lemon myrtle scent. It's just gorgeous. So you can use it not only for sealing furniture like this, but putting it inside drawers, waxing up drawers to make them move better. But I just love it when you open up a drawer that you've used scented wax on. The smell is just gorgeous. So it seems I wasn't recording at the start of this. Marvellous. Anyway, what I'm using here is Dixie Belle Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain. So that's a water-based gel stain. And I'm applying with the Dixie Belle Gator Hide sponge. I've actually sprayed water on the sponge and on the piece of furniture, and what this will do is just give me extra work time, and it sort of thins it out, but it'll give you work time so you don't get these stop and start marks, which is what I found previously using this stain. So you just keep it wet. Keep working it. You can layer it. I generally don't wait too long between layers. I sort of keep working it until I get the colour that I want. Note on the top, when you're putting it on the top, it's going to take less than it will on the sides. And what I mean by that, if you go to the end of the grain, the sides will always take the stain a lot darker. So just be mindful. I usually do 2 coats on the top is generally how I go, and 1 on the side. Obviously it depends on the piece of furniture and the wood and the colour you want to achieve, but generally that's what I end up doing. Like I say, I don't plan it. You know I don't plan it, but that's generally how it turns out. Time to pretty these drawers up. So I'm using, I believe it's called the Dixie Belle Morocco stencil. I'm sorry if that's wrong, I will check it, but I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm using. So what I'm doing here is just taping it down in various spots just to stop the movement. You can actually use like a spray adhesive, but I prefer to do this. If I'll use the spray adhesive for raised stenciling, but for this, as it's going to be pretty quick and I'm not too worried about movement, I don't want to risk marking at my finish. So I prefer to just tape it down this and just move it as you go. So what I've done to these drawers is I've actually stained them in the Tobacco Road too. So I sanded it back to raw, stained in the Tobacco Road, so it's all matching. So it's just the body that has been painted in the sandbar, and the stenciling will be, and then the remainder is the Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain. So they gel really nicely together. So all I'm doing here is making sure that the stencil brush is really dry. So you dip it into the paint and then dab off all the excess. This is the way to achieve a bleed-free stencil. And now you watch when I get up to the tape, I take it off before I get to that line, because if you, and I learned from mistakes, if you carry on and go over that tape, you'll give yourself a harsh line that you then need to try and get rid of. So just take them off before you get to that, and then obviously you need to be mindful to hold it in place as you're moving across. But that's the best way that I've found to do this, to keep the movement at a minimum and to make sure there's no bleed through, because there's nothing more frustrating than taking off a stencil and finding bleed through. Trust me, I've done it. All I'm doing here is dry brushing some of the sandbar using my Sleek Brushes touch-up brush. These are just old vintage, old draw pulls that I got off a vintage dresser that I knew I wasn't going to use, but they're perfect for this project. Here she is, all finished. I'm over the moon with this one. I had no idea what I was going to be able to achieve. I didn't know whether it was solid wood, I didn't know whether it was laminate, I didn't know what it was, but I'm over the moon with it. And this is a perfect project for rise up, a single bedside, nice and small, neutral colours, absolutely perfect. Thanks so much for watching, guys. You'll find all the details of the products I've used in the description below. Like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.